It's April 6th, 1986 in Gallup, New Mexico, and a mother wakes her three children up for Sunday school. However, one of her children are missing. What unfolds is a convoluted story with twists, turns, dead ends, and a confession that's never been followed up or arrests have ever been made, and a girl who's been missing for 37 years. This is the strange disappearance of Anthonette Cayedito. Hello, Insomniacs. I'm Dr. Sleepless, and this is the strange disappearance of Anthonette Cayedito. So grab a drink, some snacks, and your favourite blanket, and let's dive right in. Anthonette Christine Cayedito was born on the 25th of December 1976 to parents Penny Cayedito and Anthony Montoya. Her parents had separated when she was young, and Anthonette was the oldest of three siblings, and her two younger sisters are Senida, otherwise known as Sadie, who was 7, and Wendy, who was 5, at the time of her disappearance. Anthonette was of Navajo, Italian, and Hispanic descent. She was raised mainly by Penny in the hometown of Gallup, New Mexico. Anthonette also had the nickname Squirrel. It is noted that she had black hair, brown eyes, a mole on her right cheek, a nose, both of her hands. Her ears are pierced, a scar on her knee and her lip, and she also wears glasses. At the time of her disappearance, she was a 4th grade student at Lincoln Elementary School, where she was an above average student. She had a flair for sports and physical education, and had a 4-year consecutive streak as the winner of the Presidential Fitness Award. She was devout to her religion and attended weekly Bible studies, which she was well known for. Anthonette and her family were living in the Arnold Circle area of Gallup off of Route 66 at the time of her disappearance. Anthonette was 4'7" and 55 pounds, and was said to be wearing a pink nightgown and a silver chain with a cross on it the night of her abduction. Anthonette was described as being a level-headed person who was wise beyond her years, educationally gifted, friendly, caring and dependable. At the age of 6, she was already cooking, doing laundry and housework, and being a vital caregiver for her sisters. She was also known for her concern and well-being of others, especially if they were in need. Wendy described Anthonette as having a caregiver's heart. On the night of Anthonette's disappearance, Penny had been out at a bar with friends and returned home around midnight. Some sources report that Penny had a childminder, but some other sources say the girls were home alone, as this was a regular occurrence for Penny. On the night in question, it is said that she had a childminder and she was sent home when Penny arrived home from the bar. When Penny woke up at 7 a.m. to get the girls ready for Sunday school and couldn't find Anthonette anywhere, she went searching around the neighbourhood until 11 a.m, and once she'd done this, she'd called the police to report Anthonette missing. It is alleged that the police said she couldn't file a missing persons report for another 8 hours. 4 days after her disappearance, Gallup Police Department did a search of the Cayedito home. Penny had a friend called Emmanuel. Other sources say his name was Emiliano, or as he was known by his nickname, Emo, which is how I will refer to him for the rest of the video, had bought Anthonette flowers over the past few days, including the day of her disappearance. This was only mentioned after another family member brought this up to the police department. Roger, who introduced Penny to Emo, told detectives during an interview that he was at the Cayedito household at around 3 o'clock in the morning. He had knocked on the door and the bedroom window, and he claimed he was checking on Penny after they got into an argument at the bar. He stated he'd left and stayed at a friend's house down the street, and the friend confirmed his story, eliminating Roger as a suspect. On the night of the abduction, a neighbor had reported seeing a brown truck with New Mexico plates outside of the Cayedito household. The neighbor saw a man get out of the truck, but couldn't provide an accurate description on the man or the aforementioned truck. It is reported but never clarified that the family never knew anyone who owned a person with a brown truck. 1 year had passed since the disappearance, and the Gallup Police Department received a phone call from a distressed young girl claiming to be Anthonette Cayedito, saying she was in Albuquerque. However, before the call could be traced, an angry, what seems to be a female voice is heard saying, "Who said you could use the phone?" before the call descends into screaming and a scuffle before the call would ultimately be terminated. Penny believed this to be her daughter, but couldn't recognize the voice. Here, let's listen to the phone call.
Police department. Hello. I'm Anthonette Cayedito. I'm in Albuquerque. Okay, whereabouts in Albuquerque? You said you could use a phone. Hello? Anthonette, where are you? Anthonette? Hello?
5 years after the disappearance, Wendy, now 10, gave her first account of what happened that night with Anthonette's abduction. After the first knock on the door, who was confirmed to be Roger, there was a second knock on the door that night. The reply was Uncle Joe. Anthonette opened the door and she was snatched by two men, taken to a brown van, kicking and screaming, "Let me go, let me go." Wendy didn't recognize the two men and couldn't give a description of them or the brown van. Wendy is also to have said that one of the two men covered her mouth as they snatched her away that night. Wendy didn't say anything to Penny that night, as she didn't want to upset her or get in trouble for making up stories. Sadie, who went back to sleep after the first knock, doesn't remember a second knock on the door that night. Wendy also allegedly said that her mother was always going out, leaving the three girls unattended, and that there were people in and out of the house every day. However, since Anthonette's abduction, Wendy is reported to have never seen Roger or Emo again since that night when Anthonette was abducted. Until 1994, shortly after the Unsolved Mysteries broadcast of the case, Penny admitted the incident involving the second knock on the door that night. When interviewed by the FBI, Penny states that she gave Anthonette permission to answer the door, bearing in mind it was around 3 to 4 a.m. Penny also confirmed it was daybreak when she rose 30 minutes later, which is impossible. Also, this time frame greatly differed to her original claim of waking up at 7 a.m. to get the children ready for Sunday school and to find Anthonette missing. During the filming of the Unsolved Mysteries episode featuring Anthonette's missing persons case, Penny went to see a Navajo medicine woman who performed a crystal ritual which allegedly makes contact with the spirits of missing people. She is said to have confirmed Anthonette is still alive and she may have a child, and that she's been held against her will somewhere in the southwest. Penny was amazed that the information of the medicine woman was consistent with the findings of the ongoing detective's investigation. Penny is quoted saying on Unsolved Mysteries, "Going to the medicine woman gives me a lot of strength, and it helps me just to know that she is alive. No matter who she's with, they've got to have some compassion to not hurt another human being as small as she is." There have been numerous alleged sightings over the years. However, these four stand out in particular, as they have been mentioned several times throughout the years. Here they are in chronological order. On the 8th of April 1986, a witness reported to have seen Anthonette in San Antonio, Texas. He described her as a Spanish-looking girl in a long pink dress, accompanied with a blonde-haired woman, whilst they were on the side of the road. On the 19th of April 1986, a woman claimed to have seen a brown truck at a Thriftway gas station, and as the truck drove past her, she believed she could hear a voice shouting for help. The witness believed it could have been Anthonette. On the 30th of June 1986, a witness claimed to have seen Anthonette at a bus depot in El Paso, Texas. Again, the witness claimed the girl was wearing a pink dress, very similar to the earlier sighting in San Antonio, and that she had a noticeable mark on her cheek similar to what Anthonette has. However, the most notable sighting happened in 1991 in Carson City, Nevada. A waitress at a restaurant was reported to have served a table of three, and there was a Hispanic-looking teenage girl that matched Anthonette's description with an unkempt couple. The girl kept knocking cutlery to the floor, and at one point when the waitress retrieved the cutlery from the floor and put it back on the table, the girl squeezed her hand. Once they had left, the waitress went to clean the table, and under the girl's plate was a napkin that simply read, "Help me, call the police." Up until this point, the suspects were believed to be two adult males who may have known the family, because when the second knock happened, they claimed to be Uncle Joe. It has also been thrown around that Anthonette would have had to unlatch a screen door, but we can't say this for certain. However, the 1991 sighting threw a spanner into the works, and this started a theory that Anthonette was abducted and sold into human trafficking. Let's move on to the theories. Police interviewed Penny's brother-in-law, but declined to name him a suspect. However, it is believed that some members of the family and Penny knew more than they were letting on. It's also highly suspected that Penny had something to do with her daughter's abduction. In 2016, police released information that Penny failed a lie detector and had confessed to the case. Police believe that Anthonette was abducted and sold into human trafficking, or abducted specifically for the purpose of homicide, although it is believed that Anthonette is deceased due to the passage of time. However, her case remains open and unsolved. 3 years after the abduction of Anthonette, her 25-year-old disabled step-aunt Louisa Estrada, sister to Larry Estrada, also disappeared on the 5th of September 1989 from Gallup, New Mexico. However, unlike Anthonette, she was found alive and well in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. I apologize, I probably butchered that name. A month later, and returned home shortly after. Over the years, there have been speculation that the two are linked, and Anthonette might be in or around the same area Louisa was found. However, these claims have never been substantiated. There are two ruled out missing persons that are not believed to be Anthonette. I'll leave links to them down below in the description. The first one is Apache Junction Jane Doe. Apache Junction, Arizona, 6th August 1992, age 16 to 18 years old. The cause of death was undetermined. This Jane Doe was found near a desert-like area, Highway 60, in a state of decomposition. Bernadillo County Jane Doe, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 2nd of May 1996, age 14 to 19 years old. The cause of death was undetermined. Remains unidentified female were found near 98th and Tower Road near Albuquerque. They were wrapped in a dark green or black plastic bags, and there were 6 of them altogether, holding the remains of the Jane Doe. There are some notes from the case files that are rarely mentioned, so I feel that they're important to mention in this video, so here they are. Penny was also supposed to go out the night before Anthonette's disappearance. While she was getting ready, Emo came over to the Cayedito home and gave Anthonette flowers, a gift of a teddy bear necklace, and had Anthonette sit on his lap, whilst Penny was out of the room getting ready. Police report states that there are several witnesses seeing Emo bring Anthonette flowers on the night before of her abduction and several times beforehand. Sadie also said the night her mum got home from the bar, she sent Sadie and Wendy to bed, but made Anthonette stay up and play cards with her, which was highly unusual. She also said that knocking on the door before the infamous Joe knock was a man asking Penny to let him in. She told the girls to ignore him and he would go away. This could possibly be the knock from Roger, the guy Penny got into an argument with at the bar, and did confirm he knocked around 3 to 3:30 a.m. Roger would have been an important witness, as his knock was around the same time, if not close to the second knock. However, he didn't report any suspicious activity that night. Some more notes on Penny's time discrepancy. She also said she woke up at 3 a.m. and saw Anthonette sleeping. Then when she woke up at 7 a.m, Anthonette was gone. The same teddy bear necklace Anthonette received as a gift from Emo was also on a shrine that Penny made for Anthonette after her disappearance. At 6:30 a.m, Larry Estrada reported that Anthonette was helping a search party in the local neighborhood look for a missing dog, but she never returned home. According to Penny, both Ronald and Emo failed a polygraph test miserably. However, there are no evidence of this in the case files. According to a former Gallup detective who investigated the case for a period of time, said he confronted Penny over the allegations that she told people she sold Anthonette for drugs but couldn't remember to who. Penny denied this and knowing anything to do with Anthonette's disappearance. When the FBI handed over their report, the 1994 interview confession was removed and had no reasonable motive, and this is why Penny has never been charged. Anthonette's mother, Penny, died on the 18th of April 1999 from a combination of liver cirrhosis and cardiac issues, and her father, Anthony Montoya, died on the 17th of August 2012. In 2016, the Albuquerque Journal interviewed Wendy. She spoke of how her mother couldn't talk about Anthonette without breaking down crying, leading her to misuse alcohol and substances to cope with the loss. Wendy also spoke of her own troubles, going into a life of addiction, gang affiliation, and gaining a criminal record. She spoke of losing her children, going into rehab, and fighting to regain custody of them. She said she broke the cycle, moved far, far away from Gallup. Wendy now lives in California. She admits memories of her sister are vague, however the loss does haunt her. She's frozen in time at 9 years old, a little girl with a jumble of teeth, soft brown eyes and a caregiver's heart. She remains hopeful that her sister will be found. I'm not going to accept she's dead. I need proof, Wendy says. In June 2012, Sadie was interviewed by KOAT TV. It's hard not knowing to the point of no closure. What happened? Where did she go? She also conveyed a message to Anthonette. She's safe. She has a family that love her. She has sisters. We haven't given up. We all often wonder what she's doing. Does she have children? What kind of life she is living? Sadie also went on to condemn Penny, believing she was involved in her sister's disappearance. Here is a picture of Anthonette. She has been missing for 37 years. She'd be 46 now at the time of recording this video. Here's a photo of her age progress, what she'd look like at 42 years old. A Redditor under the name of u/Princess Anthonette FR posted to the subreddit Reddit Bureau of Investigation on the 14th of August 2023 that she was visiting family in the area of Ozarks, Missouri, and they drove past somewhere they always do on the way to their house. There were police vehicles marked and unmarked, trucks with sifters, shovels, etc., and they got out of the car to look around when they saw forensic investigators come out of the woods, and they hurried them to leave. A few days later, they went to a store not far from the area and asked if they knew what was going on. The woman running the store overheard they'd found a skull. The Redditor went to the press release a few days later in the nearby town. The sheriff began the release that Maries County used to be the place to go and dump a body, and had found a skull of a pre-adolescent child. The skull was found by someone who strayed off the road for pictures. The other information available is the child was likely a mixture of Native American, Hispanic, Latino, and Mexican ancestry, although other sources have said possible Caucasian. Had been dead for over a year before the remains were found. The lower mandible of the jaw had not been recovered yet, and there were rumours at the time that clothing and personal items were found. However, there's no conclusive evidence or proof of this, and nor has it been formally released. The area is predominantly white, no known Latinos in the area. The child was well looked after, considering expensive dental work, and the skull was found in 2013. Other Redditors had commented on the post that just before it was uploaded, someone had posted in r/GratefulDoe about remains found in Dixon, Missouri have been uploaded to the Missing Persons and Exploited Children's website, and gave a side-by-side comparison of Anthonette and the Jane Doe from Dixon, Missouri. Here are side-by-side comparisons of the Dixon Doe and Anthonette Cayedito. What do you think? Is it a possible match? This Pulaski County Jane Doe could be Anthonette. Dixon, Missouri and Gallup are both along Route 66, and the sheriff allegedly said that Maries County would be the place to dump a body. Maries County and Pulaski County are less than an hour apart, with Dixon falling in the middle. So could it be that Anthonette was murdered and dumped in Pulaski County? I guess only time will tell. I'm not going to give my opinion on this. All I am going to say is that Dixon, Jane Doe and Anthonette have very striking similarities. But what do you think of this case? Do you think the Dixon, Jane Doe could be Anthonette? Anything else? Comment down below. So my insomniacs, that's that. What do you think happened? Either way, it's just a very, very frustrating case. We can only hold out hope like everyone else that Anthonette is going to come home safe. However, with the amount of time that has passed, it's doubtful. Whoever the Jane Doe is, I hope a family missing their loved one gets the closure that they deserve. Hey everyone, Dr. Sleepless here. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. Consider ringing the bell to be notified of future uploads. Feel free to let me know how to improve by leaving a comment, and with that said, I'll catch you all in the next one. I love you all, and remember, good night, sleep tight, and I hope you avoid the sleep paralysis demon tonight.